Welcome back to our talk on Bourgogne. And today we're going to finish up the remaining areas of Bourgogne. And what are those areas? Can we remember all five of them? Can we recite them from north to south? Chablis, Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune, Côte Chalonnaise, Mâconnais. And we're going to be covering Côte de Beaune, Côte Chalonnaise, and Mâconnais in this presentation. So we start at the beginning with Côte de Beaune. Côte de Beaune is the most complicated of all of the regions. There are more villages and there are more varieties and different exceptions coming in. That is the one area that really needs to be studied. Now in Côte de Beaune, we start off at the top with the little town of Lodois, and the Lodois-Serigny is one of the areas that we're going to have. About a third of the way down, we get to the town of Beaune in Côte de Beaune, and we will go all the way further down through the Meursault to the Centenay, down to Mirage, which is the southern part of it. So let's just start at the top and let's talk about these wines. Now remember, Côte de Beaune is known for their full-flavored whites and reds that are full of finesse. The soil is similar to Côte de Nuit. It's limestone-rich marls. Côte de Beaune produces more reds than whites. However, Côte de Beaune is known for its whites. That is where Côte de Beaune shines. And in fact, of the 8 Grand Crus in Côte de Beaune, only one of them is red, and that is Corton. And the other thing to remember about Corton is it's actually shared among 3 different villages. So it's the only red and white Grand Cru. The grapes, same as Côte de Nuit, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Aligoté, and the Pinot Gris. So let's go down through these villages that we have in Côte de Beaune. Lodois-Serigny at the very northern edge. Pernon Vergoules shares the Grand Cru of Corton and Corton Charlemagne with the Alas Corton and Lodois-Serigny villages. They all share that Grand Cru. Alas Corton. Remember, Corton area has both the red and the white. There are 28 different climats in this area. We have some very small towns. Savigny-le Beaune. Le Beaune means next to Beaune, next to the town of Beaune. And Chorey-le-Beaune. Savigny-le-Beaune has mainly reds, but whites with a hint of apple and hazelnuts. Chorey-le-Beaune, no Grand Cru or Premier Cru, raspberry and cherry aromas in the red. We get down to the town of Beaune, and that's mostly reds. 2/3 are Premier Cru. Pommard is only red wine, which means, of course, that there are no Grand Crus in Pommard. Volnay was the most popular area during the 1300s. And now it produces only reds, some very powerful reds. 45% of them are Premier Cru. Montély, it's at the mouth of a combe. A combe is a cut in a hillside made by a river, exposing different layers of soil. Auxey de Retz is halfway between the reds of Volnay and the whites of Meursault. So again, we have this change within this small region from red to white. And right below Auxey de Retz is Meursault. Meursault, 90% white, and is really known for its white, not very well known for the 10% of reds that it has. We then get down to Saint-Romain. Saint-Romain has no Grand Cru or Premier Crus, and almost all whites. Saint-Romain sits at a very high elevation. Therefore, the temperatures are a bit cooler, too cool for the little finicky Pinot Noir grape. and producing some Chardonnays, but not of the Grand Cru variety. We then hit two parts of the hill Montrachet. Montrachet is a hill which means scabby hill in French. And we have Puligny Montrachet and Chassagna Montrachet. Puligny and Chassagna. These are basically two sides. Montrachet is the pinnacle of Chardonnay. It defines what the Chardonnay should be. South of Montrachet, and I also remember, by the way, Puligny Montrachet comes before Chassagna Montrachet because it's reverse alphabetical order. Saint Alban, 50% reds, but known for its white. Santani, delicate robe of tannins is what your book says, and Mirage is similar to Santani. So, if we take our map here we have of Côte de Beaune, at the very top we have the Loire Serenity. You will normally only see Loire written on the labels. You won't see Serenity. We then have Pernod-Ferglus, which shares the Corton with Alice Corton. This area, 28 climats, very, very well known. We then hit Palmard, which is mainly all reds. Volnay, known historically for the 1300s for its red wines, or excuse me, it was actually white wines back in the 1300s. Now it's very much known for its Pinot Noirs. We hit Meursault. Meursault, I showed a bottle with a little strip of red in it, 90% white, only 10% red. Then we hit Puligny Montrachet. Montrachet means scabby hill. The picture I have of a scabby hill doesn't come from France, it comes from Alabama. So I could find a nice picture of a scabby hill. This is the pinnacle of Chardonnay. The other side of the scabby hill, the Chassagna Montrachet, just on the other side of the hill. Again, fantastic Chardonnays. Santani has a robe of delicate tannins, and I show this nice robe over the bottle of wine. Then we go down to the Mirage. So the way that I remember this is Loire Serenity makes wines that are both cum laude with Magna. Pernod-Ferglus shares a Grand Cru with its neighbors, or are you clueless? Alice Corton has 8 climats to hang its hat upon. Palmard has only red, at least so far. Volnay, a medieval favorite that's here to stay. Meursault is nearly all white, at least 90% or so. Puligny Montrachet, a scabby hill. What more can you say? Chassagna Montrachet, the pinnacle of Chardonnay. Satanay, with vines planted deep in the clay. So, a lot to take in, a lot to go back and look at and think about and practice on to get it down. But once you get past Côte de Beaune, you get to Côte Chalonnaise. And when we get to Côte Chalonnaise, things get to be a lot easier. As you can see on the map, it's a lot simpler map, and we don't have nearly so much to deal with. It's right below Côte de Beaune. The wines, flowers and ripe apple whites, full-bodied tannic reds, limestone and marl, for 62% red, 38% white. So again, still lots of red produced. Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Aligoté, and now we have a little bit of the Gamay coming in which of course is the big grape, of Bourgogne, which sits just south of Burgundy or Bourgogne, and that starts making its influence even in Côte Chalonnaise. Côte Chalonnaise has only 5 communes, 5 villages, makes it much, much easier. Starting from the north, going south, the Bourgogne, known for its perfumed aligoté, no Premier Cruise, no Grand Cruise. Rouilly is also known for its Crémant production. Remember Chantillonnais up in the Chablis? Well, we come all the way down to Chalonnaise and we get Rouilly. We also have Crémant production. Mercure, and then we have Givry. Now, one of the things to be careful of, Givry is not the same as Gevry. And if you remember, Gevry-Chambertin is located in the Nuit. And of course, this is a very common trick question that they'll put on test. Is Chambertin part of Givry? And it's part of the Givry, not the Givry. So make sure that you understand that distinction. And then Montaigne is the only 100% AOC, 100% Chardonnay AOC in Chalonnaise. So it's the only one that has all reds. So when we go back to our map, Bourgogne, it makes the aromatic aligoté, right? Something you can spray right on you. Rouilly makes the Crémant. The Mercure has Premier and Grand Cruise. Givry, different from Gevry. Note the spelling and make sure that you keep that straight. Montaigne is also then the only white AOC in Chalonnaise. So the rhyme I use for helping to remember this, Bourgogne with perfumed aligoté that you can spray on. Rouilly makes Crémants from grapes ripe and dewy. Mercure, spicy cherry reds, hip hip hooray. Givry, no Grand Cru to sip with your brie. Montaigne, the only white wine allowed in this segregated AOC. And then we get finally down to Mâconnais. Mâconnais sits at the southern part. It is again a very simple area to remember. It is known for its fruity whites and reds that are made from Gamay, not the Pinot Noir. Again, this is the Beaujolais influence. It has limestone and marl, but it also has granite and schist, which is also an influence coming up from the Beaujolais region. And of course, remember that with the granite and schist, the soils there are the oldest within Bourgogne. 85% of the Mâconnais is Chardonnay. It's too far south, it's too hot for the Pinot Noir. The other 15% are primarily Gamay, which does like the heat. Most of the wines are labeled with Macon Village. It produces Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Aligoté, and Gamay. There are only 3 communes, 3 villages to Mâconnais, much better than Côte de Beaune. The Viray Classy is the newest of the Mâconnais AOCs. It's up at the far north. Pouilly-Fuissé is the flagship of the Mâconnais, and it's what most people think of when they think of Mâconnais wine is the Pouilly-Fuissé. Saint-Véran was once a part of Beaujolais and is now a part of Bourgogne. And you'll notice that the area for wine spells Véran without the D at the end. The city, the town, the village spells it with the D at the end, which is the more modern spelling. So they use the older spelling for the name of the wines, although the village has the D at the end. But don't let that confuse you whether the D is there or not. So at the very top, Viray-Classé produces its white wines. We get down then to Pouilly-Fuissé. It has its very characteristic outcropping of limestone rocks that sort of is the monument and the symbol of Pouilly-Fuissé. And this, of course, is the flagship. And down at the very bottom, Saint-Véran, which used to be a part of Beaujolais and now is a part of Bourgogne. And that concludes our talk on Bourgogne. I hope you find this helpful. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.